Hey, how you guys doing? Michael X. Yeah, and we got a review for the Emil 2 heavy tank. Um, I'm gonna say that I really enjoyed this tech tree so far, and I do have the Kron Von, and I'm gonna be going for the mark on that. And I put the E50M review on hold for this tech tree because I do like the Swedish you know I do like the Swedish tanks, but I'm going to go ahead and say that I prefer more maneuverable turreted tanks. But I'm going to go ahead and say that I will eventually go for the S tanks. Um, as you guys can tell, I put camouflage and I put heroes because I did buy the Primo Victoria, which is an amazing tank and makes some good money. Um, even if they do pin the turret, it's still a good tank. We are looking at 520 horsepower, 56 kilometers forward, which is not going to achieve unless it's downhill, 18 in reverse, 15% chance of engine fire, 40-second reload with a 2.8 aim time, 38 accuracy, 8 degrees of elevation, 12 degrees of gun depression, 4-round autoloader. 30 degrees of rotation speed, which is very slow, and the ground resistance, terrible. And of course, you guys can see 20 here, so you're talking a total of 50. So be careful of light tanks; they will get you. 380 meter view range. It does have an incredible radio range, which is something that a lot of people don't realize about this vehicle. And of course, it's ammunition. It shoots APCR standard for 252 millimeters of penetration for 400 alpha, and then it shoots heat as its secondary for I believe it's 300 even, which is pretty low on the penetration. You guys can see I don't really have a good crew in this yet, but just looking at that red part on the armor, I wanted to show you guys that I get a lot of people shooting me in the gun, and I'm going to say that you can't pin the gun. Not even with a Yagaroo, it'll just break the gun. And the reason why is it's over 400 thick. I like to call this thing the waffle killer. Seriously. It's probably one of the only tanks that can take APCR rounds from that and live if you face hug it. So this is a PC GG. It's World of Tanks GG. And you guys, or it's just called Tanks GG. And you guys can see that this is just absolutely thick. Even heat off of Russian tanks cannot pin anything other than below the turret. Even the turret ring itself, which I have been pinned before, which I thought was kind of ridiculous. I am going to show you guys here in a second. You can side scrape with this, but it does have a pike nose, which does mean there are places that you can still pin it. But I'm going to go ahead and say that most people don't because it's covered up by a fender. But I'm going to say this thing is just absolutely a turret. Now look at how thick it is if you try and shoot the gun. And then of course when it's in its max gun depression. Now just keep in mind this is the tier 9. When it's in its max gun depression, you can get over 450. So nothing's pinning you except the Death Star. It's the only tank that can do anything to you. I will say that where I'm actually showing, I have been hit before, which I think is a pretty impossible shot, but sometimes people get lucky. And I wanted to show you that when it's in its max gun depression, you guys can overmatch the top there. You can overmatch the rear end. This is the weak point right there. When it's in its hull down, if you hit it with artillery or with HE, it will pin that area. So this was my Ace Tanker gameplay. Now it's not very, it's very rare for me to get it, but you guys can see that I'm going to go ahead and play, going to go ahead and play tier 10 game with this tank. And well, it's because I was grinding for the Kron Von. So first off, I want to go ahead and mention the speed of this vehicle is underwhelming. It says 56, but I'm going to go ahead and say that there has to be some sort of balance. And I'm going to say where the balance comes in is that the shells on this vehicle, well, at long range, you can't even pin bottom plates on some tier 8 vehicles because they lose their penetration. So you really do have to be up close or sling heat, which it's very inaccurate, so it costs you a lot. With this tank, really, how I mean, from my experience of playing this for 200 battles, is basically this. It's great hull down, but on open ground it's like a chieftain. It just gets buttered, but it can bounce some stuff, and its survivability is off the chart. The reload time, I have mine down to 36 seconds, which is still better than the AMX 50 120, but it comes with the sacrifice of accuracy. It really does. And you guys can see that the gun up close is, you know, it's great. It's got decent pin on a tier 8 vehicle, as you guys can see. I'm going to easily clip out him for 1500, but I take a shot for that, as you guys can see. Coming around corners like that and not being able to be on a you know, good gun depression can cost you. So there are, you know, just because it has 12 and it's the best gun depression doesn't make you invulnerable. Like if I come over this cliff any more than what you guys see, I'll be exposing my lower plate. And a lot of people will do that, and what can happen is you get tracked and then absolutely annihilated. This has one of the worst track repair speeds that I've seen on a tank, which can be a huge downfall. So realistically, you just want to troll people by constantly getting spots and playing like a super medium, and then you can go into an aggressive auto-loading heavy. As you can see here, just going to go ahead and go for hatches here. You can see that this is actually really crazy here. It was a damn shame they got McLovin there. You can see my ammo rack was hit, which means somebody shot lower on me. So I'm at half health, and I'm thinking this isn't going so well. But I do have 7 pins, which I'm going to go ahead and say, if you guys want to get a mark of excellence on this, you're going to need to get about 7 pins a game, minimum. It'll take you 200 games probably, but I did have to go. I didn't have any free XP left after I got the tier 8, so I had to run the stock gun on this, which it did. It's very underwhelming. It has 242 pin. Now I did want to mention to you guys, like I said, 8 PCR with only 200 pin means that you have to be right up on people, but it does mean you cannot pin E75's lower plates if you're right up on them because the angle's too steep. You cannot pin the lower plate on the tank I'm shooting right now, the IS-7. It's very, I'm going to say that this is just a turret with a limp gun, I'm going to say. I really think that the standard shells should at least be 258, and the heat should be just the same as any of them. But if you did sling heat, you know, as I was telling you guys, you would absolutely dominate people. Now, a lot of people don't realize the weight of this vehicle is pretty high. So, even though it's small and it can be spun out, it's still a very heavy tank because it has that turret on it. I mean, I would say this thing is probably super top heavy in real life if it was actually made, which I don't know if it was. But it's gun depression. You can take shots from any tier 10 heavy tank and almost all tank destroyers. You guys can see that I'm going to go ahead and bait him. He's probably tripping on, why is this guy orange? Now you guys can see that I'm shooting standard shells, and I'm not going to be able to I'm not going to be able to pin that lower plate on that E100. As you guys can see, it's very underwhelming. Just going to say. So I'm going to say that you are going to need some heat shells. You are. It's just, if you want to take out you know, E75s, E100s, or anything from range, you know, the only thing that you have is the heat. At least the at long range, the heat will actually, you know, stay stable and still give you the pin. But I'm going to say that the inaccuracy of this is just disgusting. Even like him angling the way he is, I actually can't pin that lower plate very well. All I could probably do is just get tracks. You could forget about trying to pin the turret on the E100. If you guys think about how many pins I have right now, I could have, if I had a normal gun, I could have actually pinned that E100, and, you know, at least, I probably would have clipped him out at least, you know, and you guys can see that I couldn't actually fire. So, sticking with heat, because I don't want to bounce any more super heavies, gonna go ahead and spot out this area. This game's relatively long, and it's not my highest damage game, but it does show the tank's limits. like popping over ridges too much. You guys can see that I was doing that. I was trading damage for 1500. You know, the amount of damage I traded for the amount of damage I did, I would say it was actually fair. I mean, 12 pins at 400 with 2 kills. It's possible, you know, I'm going to say it's possible that at this moment I only have about 3,500 damage, which I'm going to say I really wish that the that World Tanks console would actually give us the damage indicator telling us how much damage we're doing, because it's really nice to know that, you know, hey, I got 2 real low rolls, and it might make me push a little bit more because I know I need to do a little bit more damage. Because, I mean, well, I'll just say if you're ever a 3 marking a tank or even 2 marking a tank, you want to know what your damage is. And I'm going to say that they need to have the mark of excellence on the end credits all the time. I mean, even if you don't have it, just have it grayed out, and just when somebody, when you click on it, it says you're at 7% or 55% or whatever. And then once you achieve the mark, it's there. And it should be on every loading screen. That way you can actually, you know what you're doing. So this is going to seem crazy, but I'm going to go ahead and shoot heat so that this guy can get spotted. And it sounds ridiculous, but I've had people sit behind that in that area and do so much damage. So I decided to go ahead and waste my heat and destroy those buildings just to get it out. You might think it's a waste, but that means those guys can't use that area anymore, which means they're probably going to try and come around on the flanks. So I can see that we got a guy that's basically pushing completely by himself. We do need him in the game. We do. We need this guy in the game. There's no way I'm pinning any of these guys, even with the heat. But I can pin that guy. I can pin the Emil for sure. You know, yeah, with the heat. So you guys can see I switched off from heat because it's kind of pointless. It's only good for a bottom plate on an E100, which you will have to do. If you have standard shells, your only options if you're going up against E100 or mouse is to be in a lower position shooting at him, or to get alongside him, which I'm going to say you're going to trade a lot of health doing that. So your best option is to do what I did, and that is to just basically try to back off. Don't even waste your shot. I didn't know this tank very well, and I was trying to figure out, you know, I like APCR standard. I really do. I like the velocity of the shell on this, and it does seem to hit really hard, and it does give you some decent high rolls, as you guys can see. Getting 400 and more. I have low rolled here and there, but I'm going to say, you know, still a great tank. And you can bait people because everybody looks at it, and the first thing they think when they see an autoloader, I mean, the first thing they think is shoot it in the turret. And so the 50B has a notorious, you know, I'll say troll of bouncing people because they just pick anywhere on the turret and shoot, and you really do need to shoot the cheeks. But this one, I'll say this is its real Achilles heel. If you're shooting down on somebody that's right below you and there's other people that you can't see, they can shoot your hatches because you're basically exposing the camouflage net area, which is basically a super overmatch. It's also the place where artillery can one-shot you, and I'm going to say that I've had this happen to me repeatedly, but I have also bounced a AP shell off of a T92. You guys contemplate that for a second. So the highest damage I blocked in this was about 6,800, and it was when I first got it. I didn't even have the upgraded gun. I was going to show you guys that, but I didn't think it was really important because this tank can be defeated. I mean, it really can. HE, you know, if you keep shooting it in the gun, it will break the gun. Use HE on the gun. Just shoot your standard shells into the gun, breaking the gun. It makes it even more inaccurate. And then you can actually track it and get around it. It's got a very slow turret, so medium tanks that see this, they can circle you. So can heavy tanks. I've been circled and killed by tank destroyers, which sounds ridiculous, but this turret is a little bit faster than, you know, the Emil I. Now the Kronvon, it actually has good turret speed, and you guys can see that I'm basically just floating here, looking for opportunities, trying to keep people away. I do know that you know, the E3 is a nasty tank, And of course, he's going up against a Yaguru. I'm going to say I don't know if that's very, very wise. And if you are going to go up against a Yaguru, get right up on him, you know, and hug him like that. As you guys can see, just hug him. You guys can see I'm going to go ahead and just clip him out. There we go. Boom. Saved somebody's life, or not. I'm going to say one more heat shell from him, and that would be it. So we're at how many pins now? We're at 17. So I'm really hoping to get some more damage done. So 500 health left. I think I made some good trades in this, but I also made some really bad ones. I am going to go ahead and say that just like the Chieftain on flat ground, you know, this actually does have better armor than the Chieftain in some areas. For instance, the tracks give you a little bit more. It's a very durable, survivable tank. To be honest, it kind of reminds me of an E50 or an E50M, but it has incredible, you know, turret. And the autoloader on it, I'm going to say at tier 9, being 40 seconds, is 6 seconds faster than the AMX 5120. But it comes with at accuracy. So I'm going to go ahead and say that with Smooth Rides and Snapshot, if you guys get this tank, which I'm going to go ahead and say the equipment on this, what I'm running is ventilation, what is it, vertical stabilizer and enhanced gun lane drive. It's the only way to go. You need it because it has a really long aim time, but you do have the armor for the aim time, meaning you can stop, have your turret exposed, take some shots, and still land your target. So it's patience is what you really need. You need patience. You need to use your patience with this vehicle. So I'm going to go ahead and basically use this vehicle. I get spotted, and I get lucky and see the bat chat. Somebody sends me a message, and I'm going to go ahead and miss one of my shots there. I'm hoping he pops back up. I'm going to go ahead and go this way a little bit. Maneuver this tank so I can get a little bit of spaced armor, and I guess shot where he's at. Now these next two I need to be real careful with, because if he does get around me, he is going to easily clip me out. It's why I'm not moving. And I'm just going to go ahead and reload. I'm going to force the reload. I do not want to get caught. Shoot 2 shots into him and have him, you know, put his whole, the 5 rounds of damage, you know, into me. So I can use the hill here. Like I said, very new in this game. When I got this mastery, I was very new in this vehicle and did not really know the limits. I've been blocking so many shots with the turret on flat ground that I really underestimated this whole thing. For instance, jumping on the cap, letting him know that we're here on the cap. I really want him to come to us. The tank destroyers are all moving in. You guys can see that there's one behind me to the right. And I'm thinking to myself, if I jump on the cap now, we got 1 minute left. I could possibly still cap out if another tank jumps on. But, I mean, I'm like, well, that ain't going to happen, right? I mean, we're going to have to kill him. So I'm trying to maneuver this vehicle a little bit more so that if he comes from the front area, I'll be able to see him. Now, one of the things that didn't occur to me in this situation is that he's going to come around and try and sneak up behind us going up the 1 line, which is what he's actually going to do. And it's actually a smart play. It is a smart play, but I'm going to say when you got 3 tanks left and you got 1 on the cap, it puts a time pressure, and you also hear the alarm going off, and it makes people make stupid decisions. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do here. Sometimes I'll actually go on the cap and off the cap just to annoy them because the sirens, you know, you can kind of block out the sirens after a little bit, but this game's getting ready to end quick. I am not actually aware that he got detected yet, as you guys can see. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, there he is. Took me that long. So he's coming right for the cap, so I'm going to go ahead and get on the other side of this vehicle, and I decide to just hold my ground, give him a little look, and I see that he's going directly for this guy. I'm going to go ahead and just whiff around, going nowhere, and we cap out, and I don't get any shots on him. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say that probably didn't need to cap there, but you know, hey, why not? I really didn't expect, I mean, as you guys can see, I was a little upset that I missed those 2 shots. But I was like, wow, I did 50, 54, 95 damage, 4 kills. Or is it 5 kills? Yeah, and I mean the blocking damage that you get from this is really good. Now, when I say this thing can take out a waffle E100, if you can face hug one, even if he has the APCR on flat ground, this is kind of like an example of that. And so who likes it when a waffle comes behind you and clips out 3 tanks? Now he's gonna land 1-2 shots on me. That's actually, I got shot from behind. And I'm gonna go ahead and get in here, and I block his last shot, as you guys can see. Now I'm stuck in a reload, but I'm sitting there thinking, you know, if he would have fired, he would have already fired. But I did block one of his shells, and you guys can see now he's mine. And boom, and I still got one shell left. It's actually a winning game, that one. Anyway, this is another game that I had, which was the game I got the Mark of Excellence on. So, pretty good. As you guys can see, 2100 damage. Not exactly my best work, but I did have 5 winning games in a row, which, you know, it's pretty good. Blocking and assisting damage. My efficiency with this vehicle is Super Unicum, which I do enjoy. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. It wasn't exactly the best gameplay. I totally forgot about that stuff at the end, but, you know, whatever, you know, a win is a win. You know, it really is, a win is a win. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you guys would like to see more videos like this, you know, please, you know, subscribe, and of course, leave your comment and let me know what you guys think of this. All right, have a good one. Later.